I have a million questions that I'm asked all the time about being an entrepreneur. What's it like, and is it scary being an entrepreneur, and how did you get started? And there's a million questions people want to ask you. And I thought to myself, bang, one day, wouldn't it be great to have an entrepreneur's masterclass where I can bring some of these unbelievable people, people like we read about them and we read their stories. They're legendary, but we only see them on film and we have visualization of what they are, but actually to sit down with them and talk to them. I thought, wouldn't that be a wonderful way to learn? Nothing's new. I remember watching the old actor classes several years ago, how they visualized and how they created their careers and how they just kept getting better and better. And I thought to myself at that time, what a wonderful way for a young person to learn the craft directly from the old guys. I thought it was a very elegant way to teach. Now, throughout all my adult life and with every new business launch, I've had mentors, and I still have mentors today. And I talk to them all the time. They're essential for entrepreneurial success. And there's no better mentors than those with a deep experience of the ups and downs and the wins and losses, and during those crazy, wild, unpredictable markets like we find ourselves in right now. Now, today's guest is Jeff Lutton. I'm really looking forward to this interview. Jeff's a wonderful role model for entrepreneurs for just so many reasons. Jeff is the owner of the Dogtopia of Alexandria franchise in Virginia, and he runs an award-winning, top-performing store within the Dogtopia franchise system. Dogtopia is a fast-growing franchise organization throughout the US and Canada, and since 2007, Dogtopia of Alexandria offers a fun environment for your dog to enjoy daycare, boarding, and spa servicing. And this particular franchise has been the top 5 ever since Jeff got started. They promise that your puppy will have the most exciting day ever. Jeff has always had a passion for dogs and an entrepreneurial spirit. In addition to Dogtopia, Jeff spends time supporting and advising other entrepreneurs through VA Tech Nova Masters program, and he volunteers at the local animal shelters. Jeff is currently the chairman of the board for the Animal Welfare League of Alexandria and a board member for the Small Development Business Center in Alexandria. Prior to Dogtopia, Mr. Lutton spent many years working in the telecom industry where he built and led top producing sales organizations. He's a proud alumni of Penn State University, where he majored in electrical engineering and went on to earn his MBA from Mount St. Mary's University. And I'm going to turn the interview now over to Dr. Tim Brashalti to learn more about Jeff and his secrets for success.
Thanks so much, Peter. And it's great to be here with you as always. And it's great to be here with Jeff. So Jeff, first and foremost, we know that you're a dog person, but what we would love to learn more in terms of your own words, Peter's provided us a bit of the background, but would you mind sharing kind of your journey with us and how you got to owning the franchise of Dogtopia there in Alexandria?
I grew up in Pennsylvania. Athletics and sports were a big part of my life. I played basketball and rugby in college. Was in the tech industry for many years and had a number of businesses, entrepreneur organizations that I was a part of or worked for. And I was living in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., and we were taking our dog, our first child, to a dog daycare. It was called Happy Tails at the time. And, I thought this was great. 'Cause, every time we dropped the dog off, we actually had this commercial bakery near the store. So I would round the corner and just get the smell of bread, and I would get excited. And the dogs in the back of the car just nuts, just running around. And we'd get to Happy Tails, and she would run out and run to the door, let her in, and she would go back into the rooms. And I said, this was fantastic. And I just, I started thinking, like, I want to be able to be as happy as my dog and work with my dog. And shortly after that, the Happy Tails changed their name to Dogtopia, and they started franchising. So I was one of the franchisees to open up a location with Dogtopia.
Getting into the Dogtopia franchise, were you always going to be an entrepreneur? Did you know that in your college years and maybe even earlier years? What was that an ambition that you had, or how did that come about? And were there some pivotal moments in your life that drove you to becoming an entrepreneur, or did it just kind of happen?
My freshman year in college, that wasn't going to be cut out very well for standard work life. My father was in the military. My grandfathers were in the military. Most of my uncles were in the military. So I thought the path to the military might be the way for me to go. My first semester in college, I was in ROTC, and I figured out real quick, I did not like to be told what to do. It was just, I knew within the first 3 weeks, I'm like, nope, this is not going to work for me. And in my first job out of school, out of Penn State, it was very bureaucratic, and that just reinforced that I had to be my own boss. I would never have a successful career living under that organization, working in an organization that was super bureaucratic or just very rigid. Pretty quickly after I graduated from Penn State, I had met one of my first mentors, a gentleman by the name of Steve Day. And we worked together. He had started an organization, and it was had to do with the telecom industry. And it was a constant pivot. We were looking for what was going to make our organization successful. So it was we started off with a service, and we moved to a product. Then we went to a hardware service, and then we went back to offering another service. And I just love that. I love the just moving and looking to find solutions for people that had issues. How do we get in there and solve your problem? And that's when I really learned that, okay, this is what entrepreneurship is about. We're going to solve someone has a problem, and we're going to come in and help solve it. And just going from, okay, we'll try this, we're going to try this, we're going to try this. I absolutely loved it, but I knew right then that I wanted to do that, and I wanted to help other people solve their problems.
What sports were you engaged in, and how might that have affected you relative to being an entrepreneur? I know a lot of.
Well, Tim, you might not be able to see this through the computer, but if we were in the same room, you might guess that I did play basketball. I'm a little bit on the tall side. And, my college coach, Coach Meehan, he was one of the first people that really showed me the value of work and what I can really accomplish, and the amount, just the distance that you can really push yourself, and what that means to not give up till the end. It really taught a lot of life lessons along those lines. And also my rugby coach, Dr. Charlie Smith. It was one of the first people to teach me, the value of a mission and vision. We were building champions and shaping futures, and that's what he just wanted the team to be. And he was always just exceptional about what the vision of the club should look like, of the team, so that we wanted to be just a fast-moving team. And even though half the words of his mouth came out in Afrikaans, he was an Afrikaner, really wasn't sure what they meant, but just the emotion and everything he put into it, you knew exactly what his vision was and how he wanted to see the play on the field. So, but just, looking back and understanding that having the mission and having the vision, being able to communicate those, even if it's a different language, if you can communicate them effectively, the team will respond in kind.
How do you think about your business today, and what would be your recommendation to other entrepreneurs as they think about?
Well, I would say the first thing is don't accept defeat. Because when everything went crazy for us, it was literally, Friday we had a normal-ish business, and then Monday, 90% of it was gone. And so it would have been easy to say, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to go home, not get out of bed in the morning, put my head under the pillow. But that's not the case. Around that time, I heard the story of there's a restaurant in Chicago, Alina. It's 3 Michelin stars, arguably one of the best restaurants in the country, if not the world. They sell, their dinners are $350 a person plus wine and everything else. And they've been able to pivot to sell a $35 takeout and had record revenue. So gone from a most expensive meal to an average meal and had record revenue. So me understanding, and I've taken that to, part of what we're looking at is innovation. How can we do things a little bit differently? So just adding features that will make it more comfortable for the clients to come in. We've polled our clients, and one of the things I'll ask the clients is, if we had to double the price of our daycare, not that we're going to, but if we had to, what would you expect as a service or benefits ongoing? And they gave us great feedback. Some of it was around hours. Some of it was around just some kind of frequent flyer type of things. And then they also wanted a little more one-on-one time with our canine coaches. So in fact, we started testing and offering some one-on-one time around this time, and the clients are loving it. So going through this, I think one of the more important parts is innovating. It's how are we looking to do things differently, and how can we add to the customer service.
Can you talk a little bit about your personal routines that have helped you continue to be successful?
Every day, up around 5 a.m. Although that has flipped a little bit for, my kids are homeschooled, so there's no big rush to get folks out the door at an early time. I immediately, after I make my bed, I immediately go to meditate for at least 20 minutes. And also, I have a heart rate variability measurement. So it's really objectively helps me understand where I am, where my body is reacting to stress, whether that's physical stress in the gym or just mental stress from what's going on around us. Then head straight to my garage gym and work out for 45 minutes to an hour. And then I journal. I use that kind of a brain dump to really use it to get a lot of the kind of negativity out of my head, some things that are just circulating with nowhere to go, just put them out on paper and just leave them there. And then also I'm to wrap things up is I'm a big fan of Gary Keller and his pieces, what's the one thing that can make your life easier or make some things unnecessary? And, so I pull out what's going to be my one thing that day. And it can be something as simple as just calling my mom, because I know if I don't call my mom, then I'll get a text. Hey, something's weird's going on my computer. Can you dial in a little bit later? And then my aunt will call me. Hey, your mom's not feeling good. You make sure she gets to the doctor. Then my uncle will call me. Hey, your mom said her toilet's not working. When are you going to get up there? Should I call the pop? So 6 or 7 calls later, if I would have made the one call, then it would have avoided all the confusion. So, having that one thing that's going to make my life easier that's grounded in every day.
Are there things that you do with the corporate team to help make sure that there is a level of alignment and focus on the goals and focus on individual and team beliefs of accomplishing goals, month over month, quarter over quarter?
Is one of the things that I do with the team pretty regularly is just transparent communication. So understanding that, like I said, revenue just 90% disappeared overnight. So what that means for the team, what that means internally, and give them an understanding of why decisions are being made and give them some insight to how we're doing things. Also to let them get feedback with some of our operations to keep us all safer internally. So here are some of the things we are considering, and let them give the feedback with how that will impact them operationally and how that they feel it impacts their safety and the dog safety. And for us, it's always, I want to start off by reminding them kind of why we're here. And Dogtopia has a mission, a noble cause, to enhance the joy of dog parenthood. And, that's really why I got into Dogtopia, in that, when we talked about my background, my wife and I were both working very long hours at the time. It's very DC to have a big commute and work kind of crazy hours. And I've always grown up with dogs, and I wanted to get a dog, but it didn't make any sense at the time. it wasn't until I discovered Dogtopia that I hadn't heard of daycare before that. I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. We can take the dog during the day. I can get a dog, and so I became a Dogtopian because of our noble cause. It wasn't there at that time, but I wanted I wanted to be a dog parent again. And, with a busy schedule, you can't do that. So it's very difficult. It can be very difficult. So conveying to the team on a regular basis that this is why we're here. This is why we're coming in with the craziness in the world, because our clients need us and want us. They're on teleconferencing calls. They have very important things. They don't want the dogs barking in the background. The dog's driving them crazy. If they have to give them a walk every hour, they're not going to get anything done. So it's, being able to enhance that joy for our pet parents.
Tell us a little bit about the journey since starting Dogtopia.
So when Dogtopia started franchising and they had put the email out that they were looking for some of their first franchisees, I was just transitioning out of, I had a conferencing company, teleconferencing. And, it was one of the most successful things I've ever done that was kind of a failure, in that when we had started the company, we had built it up to about 1,000 clients. And then I took over sales and marketing, and over a year, we grew from 1,000 to 10,000 clients, 10x'd it by every measure, just beyond successful, except that the industry market rates had declined by 10x. So as we grew by 10x, rates were going down by 10x. And so, do the math, everything's flat. So to me, it was just so successful, except our timing was off. And so getting into Dogtopia, it was, I had the love of dogs. I loved the business. I wanted to spend more time with my dog. It was a very easy decision to get into. So we started off with 5,000 square feet, and within about 2 years, we had maxed out this location. And so it took a while to find some more real estate and make that work. We had looked at a lot of places, made a few mistakes along the way, but ultimately the site next door became open. So we were able to put together 2 5,000 spaces continuously to have a 10,000 square foot floor. And this has been 5 years now. And just putting in systems so that, just kind of going back, it's, make that one decision so that can take care of 100 decisions. And so, along the way, being able to put the systems in place that I didn't become a bottleneck. So, as we grew, when I noticed, I'm like, okay, I'm being a bottleneck here when these decisions have to come through me all the time. So I need to figure out a system that, these decisions can be made without me. And, kind of one of my favorite moments was that very, very early in the beginning, we were just a few weeks old. I had been working nonstop to get the store open and get everything in place. And I knew we had another prospective client coming in, and I was kind of back in my office and just physically exhausted from just everything going around. And so one of my assistant managers went out and brought the client back and was giving the tour. And I was sitting in my office listening to her, and she's doing a really, really good job. And her energy is just 10x what I could produce right now. And, it's just that light bulb clicked. Like, I don't need to be here. This is fantastic. Give them the tools and I can get out of the way. Your people are 100% of your business. So having good folks around you, as I always say, having smarter people than you. I really look for people that are smarter than me in certain areas that I'm going to go to them for advice. So I've done a really good job in the past of recruiting out of other organizations. When I go to Starbucks and that person is there and they're just full of energy, and usually when when they see the T-shirts, everyone loves dogs and they love dogs, and those are the people that I recruit, that I just meet along the streets, that demonstrate that energy, that demonstrate the love of dogs. That, hey, come check us out. Let's maybe we could see if you would enjoy our organization. Just coming into Dogtopia, it was kind of the first time I'd done the business to consumer. And so, through a lot of my MBA classes, I had this vision of, how we're going to attack the market and what sort of advertising we're going to do. And where I'd come out of a kind of a B2B sales. And the first couple of weeks we opened, it was also concurrent with Rugby World Cup at the time. And so I was working 100 hours a week, and kind of my weekend was an hour on Sundays in between potty breaks for the dogs, that I would run down to the Irish pub and have a few Guinnesses, watch some of the Rugby World Cup, and run back and finish up my work at the store. But 2 weeks in with my doggy T-shirts, I became known as Dog Man. And I was sitting there, and there was an English woman next to me. England was playing Wales, and we started talking. She started talking about her yellow lab and how much energy it had. And I said, "Wow, you bring them down. We have cameras. You can watch them all day, and we'll get that energy out, and you'll be so much happier." Monday, she shows up with a dog and becomes a lifelong customer. Absolutely loved it. The next week, England's playing South Africa, and her South African friend was there and had a similar issue. Monday morning, she's in there. So it really just hit me that, this is not about, just getting out and advertising and things like that. This is really just a one-on-one. You're going to sell your business, tell the client, hey, this is why you should come. And, so it kind of just changed my old perspective on just getting out and just telling the story to whoever will listen.
Talk a bit about what mentorship has meant to you, what it means to you, how that's in your life, and how early did it start? Just to expand upon mentorship as you visualize it.
Well, it's I've had mentors as early, some of my college coaches that I still consider mentors that I keep in touch with. Some of my early, some of the leadership that I've worked under, and I would even consider some kind of virtual mentors. That, I mentioned Gary Keller earlier, that, never met Gary Keller, but I read his book. I consistently follow his message of what's that one thing that can make your life easier or make decisions unnecessary. And so also utilizing those virtual mentors that, come into play throughout my life, that I have that issue, that I can find someone who's written a book about it and read it, understand it, and get some insight.
Tell us a little bit about how you just simply define success as an entrepreneur relative to Dogtopia.
Success to me, I'll tell you a story. I've 3 kids. They're all elementary age. And a couple of years ago, and I live in a neighborhood, tends to be a lot of lawyers and that sort of thing. And I was coaching my oldest son, and as one of my friends came, he's ripping off his tie and trying to get the last inning of the Little League game. And we started talking, and I also coach his daughter in soccer, and one of his other kids are in my Cub Scout den. And he just made a comment. I think you've seen my kids this week more than I have. And I kind of looked at him and I'm like, wow. And it just, that just really just hit me, just how successful I am, that I can make a really good living doing what I'm doing, but be able to spend all this just valuable time with my kids, in that, and I may even heard Peter say this, that I could always earn more money. It's getting out there earning money. It's not the tough part. It's you have this unrenewable thing called time, and once it's gone, it's gone. So just being able to coach my kids and being out there day to day, and just past 2-3 months of being able to homeschool my kids. To me, that is just that success.
And that success has really been enabled by what you described earlier, and that is thinking about your business and how you can find the right individuals to carry out the aspects of the business at the level in which you know it needs to be carried out to help grow the business, if not just sustain it, but grow it. Can you walk us through, because we've got a lot of, no doubt, entrepreneurs that are early in their journey, and you've already been through a lot of the journey identifying how best to hand off. I'm sure not all of those decisions were easy decisions. It was opportunistic that you were in the office when you described the employee that you were explaining. She was walking one of those potential customers through the organization, and she was doing a better job than what you could have done at that time. And there were things like that that were really pivotal points in your journey that allowed you to see the potential in other people and what you could hand off to then free up your time. Could you help maybe explain how you did that, over the years of Dogtopia and other aspects of your life, perhaps, to help other entrepreneurs? How would you first think about that at Dogtopia, back when you had the 5,000 square foot, before you expanded to have twice the size? Were there things that you did first that you handed off to other people before you handed off other things? How did you kind of work your way through the business to now have more and more time that maybe you didn't have just a few years ago?
First, I would really make an attempt to quantify what the cost was of an individual activity. So if I wanted to work the front desk, I'm going to work the front desk, I would pay myself, let's say, $15 an hour. Now, if I wanted to go get a client, and we have some calculations, lifetime value of a client, so it's certainly spend a certain amount a year, and they're there for so many years. So, it's a round number, let's call it $3,000. So do I want to pay myself $15 an hour or $3,000 a client? And, the math becomes real simple, that I can go out and get 3-4 clients a day. And that is just a much, much better use of my time than paying myself $15 an hour. So kind of understanding the economics of, what the cost is, going into it. And, the second part of it is, just what's the worst case scenario? If I want to hand off, say, ordering dog food for the store, what's the worst thing that can happen? We have an extra $500 order. We have $500 worth of dog food sitting in the lobby for a month. Can I accept that? Sure. I think we can accept that. And how much time will that free up for me? So, and then, putting some sort of value of my time. If I pay myself $3,000 a client, then that $500 worth of mistaken dog food, drop in the bucket. One of my mentors told me it's always run your business like you're going to sell it tomorrow. So, be tight with expenses. Have everything running at peak capacity so that, that if you do want to sell it, it's ready to go, but you're not trying to backtrack and clean things up along the way.
I've written a few books over the years, and I had some rules. And my one rule is, I say the 5 foundations of life are values, focus, visualization, inspiration, and reflection. And I was watching as you were talking through this past hour, and you touched pretty well on every one of them, on those foundations. And I'd like to talk just a wee bit, because it's so critically important, I feel, to you and to individuals, is your values. And how you think of your values and your value system, and just your values and your value system, Jeff. Just a little bit on that.
It's kind of interesting in that, because I take a lot of calls from looking to get into the franchise system, and when I think about it, and inevitably some of the really, I love to start businesses kind of entrepreneurial, well, how are you flexible within the system, and how do you mesh? Because I did say earlier that I don't take direction very well. And the reason that I am just one of the reasons I'm very successful in the Dogtopia system is that my values align with the franchise values. In that, the safety of the dogs is paramount. And what are we doing to promote safety around there? That are we being ethical on, just providing our staff, our folks, just a great place to work and something that they can grow with. Being, just transparent with our client base. So so it's been easy to work within the franchise system because our values do align so well.
Everything you've done, you've been successful at doing. We know the word success means different things, but to me, success is the attainment of a predetermined goal, no matter what that goal was. It's not to be the best. It's not to be Peely. It's not to be the champion of everything and all that. It can be whatever I think is successful. And that's how you look at your life. And so you've had these successful pedestals you moved on through your life at. And I know now, as we go through these challenges that we all go through, and there'll be more challenges. There'll be another virus down the road, But as we go through them, we look how we successfully marshaled our strengths and our attributes to defeat these challenges. And we've done it ever since time began. So I've seen no reason why we won't continue doing that. And, Jeff, speaking with you today has just reinvigorated me and re-inspired me because I happen to believe in the same value system you do. And hard work it replaces just about everything. Well, Jeff, I want to thank you on behalf of us here at the Academy for all your input, your sharing of your experiences. And I know a lot of young entrepreneurs and older entrepreneurs are going to benefit from your wisdom and your experience. Thank you for being part of the masterclass, Jeff. We so appreciate having you here today. We'll look forward to talking to you again soon.
My pleasure, Peter. It's been great talking to you.
Yeah, it was really great, Jeff, and thanks a million for that. It's a good wrap. When we get it, we have to get the music put on it and all that kind of stuff and give it back to you. Mrs. Thomas wants to talk now.
Well, I just have to say that was awesome, Jeff. That was absolutely fabulous. There were so many nuggets there for people to hang on to, and learn from. It was really great.
Oh, thank you so much. This was fun.